Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Minor, for that explanation of what this bill does for us. You talked about words that we've heard in this building before, sunsetting. Could you give us an idea as to when do you think this bill will sunset? And maybe educate me as to bills in this building that were supposed to sunset really did see that sunset. Because we need some confidence here. And being here for this length of time, I do not have that confidence it will happen.
Representative Srinivasan, I believe it's 2025. Line 183. As I said earlier, these commodities should not need the support of a fee. That the actual value of this PET should in and of itself allow the recycling process to continue without a fee being assessed at the time of sale. Same thing with aluminum. Same thing with glass if we do the right thing with it. If we continue to take clear glass and brown glass and green glass and put them in the same container and mash it all up, it's not likely that the outcome will be as good. But I see all those as opportunities. And between now and 3 years from now, or 3 years from the bill's start date, it would seem to me that haulers will have identified what they need. The MRF system will have identified what it needs. Redeemers will have figured out where they might fit in this process, because some of them actually do crush the cans and grind the bottles, and so on. That's my answer.
Thank you. And you mentioned the redemption centers, small businesses that we have in our state. And if this bill, yes, I do understand many times we vote yes on a bill just to get it out of committee. And it is work in progress, I get that. And what we will finally see on the floor of the House or the Senate could be a different version than what we are voting out today. But what will happen to our small businesses, which are our redemption centers?
Thank you, Representative Srinivasan. So initially, this does provide some money for an increase in the short term. So what I heard during testimony the other day when they came here, some of them feel they're hanging on by a thread. They don't think they're going to be able to make it any longer. I've also heard that due to some discrepancies, there may be some relationships that no longer are going to continue, primarily because there's a concern about whether or not the statistics, the volume, is appropriate for that redemption center that may have taken in some amount of volume and then redeemed those nickels. I'm hoping that these individuals look at this new generation and find a place for themselves. And I would hope that we would do everything in our power to help them find that place. I don't know whether there will be opportunities for small volume niche market places, but I don't see why there couldn't be. I mean, we had a discussion earlier about whether the next generation of digester should be food-based or animal waste. And so I think this is a changing marketplace. And so I would hope that through some effort, there is money in this bill in an effort to retool and replan, that there would be an opportunity for them.
So if this retool and replan, would you be engaging the current people the small businesses that do have the redemption center and help them walk through so they're not left high and dry?
Absolutely. I've already met with some of them. Some of them are not as small as one might think. Some of them are actually attached to niche markets in commodities that we already deal with. For instance, there's some people in the beer business, as I understand it, that are kind of their own redeemers of sorts. And so I don't think that this bill is ultimately going to pass the General Assembly or become part of a budget unless it has the key components. Key components of being able to demonstrate that this is a future pathway to more recycling, a key component which is the job issue that you talk about, and a key component which allows people some vision as to how the nickel ends and the new fee begins. And if it doesn't have those things, this is not going to become law. It's not going to become part of somebody's budget. But if it doesn't leave here, it's not going to either.
I get that. If it doesn't leave here, the conversation stops here. I definitely get that. But my concerns are, regardless whether they're small or large, and there's obviously a perception that I might have which is small and you might think it's not that small. So the question is, will we be engaging these redemption centers in the conversation if this bill, in some fashion or the other, after it moves this committee, comes to the floor of the House and the Senate?
And so, through you, Mr. Chairman, I would just say would continue to engage. So I don't want to say engaging as if I haven't. I would want to say continue to engage. There are probably some people within that marketplace that we have not connected with yet. I know that there are people that are interested in this bill that are equally interested in that population. And so I give you my assurance that that would be a goal of mine, a main goal of mine, is to try and see how we move into that next generation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.